Abortion taking center stage this election season still, with many revealing it is their deal breaker when it comes to picking a president, edging slightly ahead by just 1 point of the economy and border security. Our next guest says reproductive care is just as important, and they're pushing a bill to protect IVF procedures at the federal level. Let's welcome GOP Senators Ted Cruz and Senator Katie Britt. Welcome to both of you. Senator Britt, first off to you. Why is IVF front and center? It's because of Alabama, correct?
Absolutely. And listen, what we want to do is the left is fear-mongering, saying that we are not going to protect IVF. IVF is protected, and Senator Cruz and I are going to make sure it continues to be protective. It is pro-life, it's pro-family, it's pro-woman, and I believe that we're the party of families, and we want to help people who are struggling with infertility, who want to see the miracle of life, help them achieve that, and this is going to do that.
So what's it going to do, Senator Cruz?
Well, IVF is amazing technology. 2% of all live births in America come from IVF. We have roughly 200 babies a day being born in the United States from IVF. 8 million babies have been born using IVF worldwide. What Katie and I have done is we've introduced straightforward federal legislation to protect IVF, to create a federal right to IVF, which means that no state can ban it. This is an issue that has overwhelming
100 senators.
It should easily be 100-0. Every senator says they support IVF. This should be an example where, look, there are issues we're going to disagree on, but we should be able to come together 100-0 and say we stand with the ability of parents who want to love their kids to bring those children into the world.
But Senator Britt, in Alabama, this is what brought this whole thing up. They voted to ban it. And now where is it at?
Yeah, so obviously there was judicial interpretation that caused a chill in the state, but the Alabama legislature, that has been named the most conservative legislature in the nation, quickly acted to make sure that we affirmatively protected IVF and that procedure in the state. So those clinics are back open. That's moving forward, just to make sure IVF is available in every state across the nation. Ted and I want to make sure that it stays that way. We want to speak with one voice, get rid of the fear-mongering, any anxiety that parents have as they're trying to bring new life into this world. We want to take that away, and we believe this should be bipartisan.
What's interesting is I watched the Pope last night with Norah O'Donnell, and he is not for this. How do you feel about that?
Well, look, I think that's a moral decision any person can make, and that's a decision they can make according to their faith and according to their understanding of God's teachings. But as a matter of law, this should be a choice that is available for parents because it is profoundly pro-family. It enables, IVF enables, I have a lot of friends, I'm sure you do too, that it is how they are parents, and they love their children, they want to raise their children, they want to be incredible moms and dads. And there are issues on abortion that we can disagree on. Katie and I are both strongly pro-life. But that is a very, very different issue from the issue about whether parents should be able to affirmatively choose we want to have a child and take advantage of medical technology to help them do that.
And I don't know if we put the full screen up when I was reading, but it's abortion. 15% say it's a deal breaker, 14 say the economy, and 14 say border security. So they're all high up here. For those people who say that in states that want to keep it at 0 weeks, they're looking to register pregnant women, what do you say to that? Because some Democrats are putting that out there.
Absolutely not. It is false, and that is fear-mongering from the left. They know that we are the party of families, Republicans are, the party of moms, the party of children, the party of life, and we're going to keep marching that forward. Unfortunately, you see the left trying to kind of create stuff that isn't there, and unfortunately, this is one of them. We were never going to have a registry of pregnant women, ever. Hear me that now. We've had multiple fact checks that have said that that is just blatantly false. It is more from the left trying to create a toxic environment because they know that they're actually the radical ones on abortion. They're the ones that want to take a child's life up to the moment the child is born.
Senator, will this be an issue in Texas as you try to get 6 more years on your seat?
Well, sure. Look, Texans are very concerned about protecting IVF. And what Katie said is really important. It's what the Democrats are doing. Their position on abortion is really extreme. Every single Democrat in the Senate supports unlimited abortion up until the moment of birth, partial birth abortion at 40 weeks. That is extreme. 9% of Americans agree with that. 91% of Americans say that's too much. And so what a lot of Democrats are trying to do is change the topic. They don't want to defend their extreme position on abortion. So instead they suggest, well, somebody's going to take away IVF. Let me be clear. Every single senator, Republican and Democrat, that I know of supports IVF. But Katie and I introduced this legislation to say, look, don't deceive people. Don't mislead them.
Right.
We'll make it clear. We'll put it in federal law. We will protect your right to IVF so that no state, no local government can get in the way. And it lets Democrats decide, are you willing to actually stand up and protect this right, or do you just want to use it as a political issue?
All right, senators, thanks so much for coming in. Appreciate it. Let's go upstairs. Well, actually, here is the former president of the United States right now. He's about to step up to the bike racks and make his remarks before the first session this week. Still in the chair, Michael Cohen.
Campaigning. As you know, I was supposed to be in a very different state this morning, and the judge actually decided to call it early, and yet it looks like we're going to have a very big gap between days, and it's going to be determined right now in court. But we're here about an hour early today. I was supposed to be making a speech for political purposes. I'm not allowed to have anything to do with politics because I'm sitting in a very freezing cold courtroom for the last 4 weeks. Is very unfair. They have no case, they have no crime. It's been determined by everybody, every legal scholar. New York Post editorial board today, Trump prosecution wind down. It's always been a witch hunt with a prosecution winding down in Donald Trump's Manhattan case. We have to ask, in the immortal words of Peggy Lee, is that all there is? That's the New York Post editorial board. It's become utterly apparent, if that wasn't seen already, that the key elements to any prosecution is missing. The key element is missing, and it says, what's missing? A crime. There's no crime. You know, they go through all this stuff, and there was nothing done wrong. NDAs are perfect. And by the way, legal expenses, you know, we paid a legal expense. You know what it's marked down in the book says? A legal expense. Again, it's not marked down as construction. It's not marked down as sheetrock and cinder block. It's marked down as legal expense. You have a lawyer. You pay him a legal expense, and it's covered in the book as legal expense. I had nothing to do with it. A bookkeeper put it down as a legal expense. This is why I'm here, because we called it a legal expense, a payment to a lawyer. Jonathan Turley, even liberal experts have continued to express doubt over where's the crime. Andy McCarthy, let's stick with the relevant, undisputed facts of the case. Mershon should dismiss this case. He should dismiss this case immediately. Bragg's evidence is woefully inadequate. This case should be dismissed. It should have never been brought. And the judge is highly conflicted. He's a corrupt judge. He's highly conflicted. He's totally corrupt. And he's interfering with an election. Greg Jarrett, there is no credible evidence of a crime. Bragg's case against the accused is beyond anemic. It is an audacious, corruption of the legal process, and a very dangerous one. No fair or competent judge dedicated to upholding justice would have ever allowed such a case. It's a train wreck. And he goes on and on and on. No judge except this one would allow this case to continue. He's corrupt. Alan Dershowitz, who I think is standing right behind me. We have many people from Congress, senators, congressmen. We've had them here all week. And I say, don't come. And by the way, outside looks like it's supposed to be Fort Knox. There are more police than I've ever seen anywhere, because they don't want to have anybody come down. There's not a civilian within 3 blocks of the courthouse. But at Columbia University, you can set up a tent and burn down the doors right opposite the front entrance. It's a disgrace. Alan Dershowitz's Trump trial is a stupendous legal catastrophe. All Americans, regardless of political affiliation, should be appalled at this selective prosecution. Today, it's a great term. I should use it now. I will. Selective prosecution. This all comes from the White House. It all comes from the DOJ in the White House. Take a look who's in the room. This all comes from the DOJ in the White House. It's an attack on Biden, who's mentally unfit. He's mentally unfit to be the president of this country. It's an attack on his political opponent. That's all it is. All of the things you saw over the last 4 weeks, most of it should have never even been brought up. And then on top of that, there's no crime. And we go on day after day, and I tell Iowa, I'm sorry, I won't be able to make it. I tell New Hampshire, sorry, I won't be able to make it. I'm sitting in an icebox all day. Today, this is Alan Dershowitz. Today, the target is Trump. Tomorrow, it may be a Democrat. After that, you and me, who knows? The criminal justice system is on trial in New York. It's making New York State. I love this state. I love the people of this state. I'm running hard in New York. I think we're going to win New York. But it's making New York and our judicial system. And then I had Judge Kaplan, who's horrible, the most biased people. And they gave me 3 judges. And Gorin, he doesn't know the first thing about finance. It's supposed to be a trial in front of the complex divisions for complex situations. He had no idea. He said Mar-a-Lago's worth $18 million. When it's worth $1 billion to $1.5 billion, it's worth 100 times the amount, 50 to 100 times. All corrupt, and it's all coordinated. It's a shame. Mark Levin, John Adams said liberty without virtue is tyranny. We have tyranny right now. We have tyranny right now, and we're disgracing our New York court system. And we're really disgracing our country, because all over the world they're watching. Bill O'Reilly, Donald Trump and his family do not deserve this blatant miscarriage of justice. Don't applaud the destruction of justice, because you may be on the receiving end someday. That's Bill O'Reilly and hundreds of others. I don't think there's one person that says that this trial is legitimate, and everybody's talking about the judge. The judge shouldn't be doing this trial. He's totally conflicted. This is the most conflicted judge probably in the history of the court system. And everyone knows what I'm talking about. Thank you very much.
Will you testify? Lawyers advise you not to testify? Will you testify this is Trump? Mr. Trump, wants to testify?
Senator Katie Britton, Senator Ted Cruz, you watch the President of the United States. He's got about 4 lawmakers, an attorney general, and other people like Alan Dershowitz there for his support. They're going to speak a little bit later because the president can't. Senator Britton, your reaction?
Absolutely. He's spot on. This judge has no business presiding over this case.
He donated to President Biden.
Unbelievable. I mean, he should have been removed immediately. There is no crime here. And at the end of the day, what we know is if they will do this to the President of the United States, former president, they'll do it to you. This is a political prosecution that is meant to keep him off the campaign trail, because people in America want more of Trump's policies. They want to put him back in the White House. And this is their attempt to try to sideline him. And they're just not going to do it.
Senator Cruz, you've seen a lot of courtrooms in your life. Where is this heading, do you think?
Well, it's headed to the jury, and if the jury follows the law, this should be easy. Trump should be acquitted. And it's interesting, we've started seeing in the last week the corporate media starting to get nervous. CNN started to lay out all the problems with the prosecution's case.
I saw that.
I think the media and the Democrats are getting scared Trump will be acquitted. I don't know. It's possible the jury will convict him. If that happens, it'll get overturned on appeal. But what we're seeing is an absolute circus. It is an abuse of power. And the reason this case was brought is because the prosecutor is a vicious partisan who hates Donald Trump, and he is terrified that the voters are going to choose to reelect Donald Trump in November. This is all about the election. It's the reason we've had 4 indictments against Trump. No other president has ever been indicted. The Democrats are trying to interfere with this election and stop the voters from reelecting Trump.
And your former professor, college professor, agrees with you. He's there today, Alan Dershowitz. Let's go upstairs.